These are graphs that detail two different roulette betting strategies. And understanding and interpreting these graphs are essential in predicting how each roulette system will perform. And I'm going to show you how to generate and interpret these graphs today on Jackace. What up, donkeys? Jack Hayes here, the discount gambling mathematician, and today we're going to talk about something that I call outcome graphs. These graphs are extremely helpful in understanding how a roulette system will perform over time. So let's take a look at how to generate one of these graphs. First, let's go to the Jackace Roulette Bet Analyzer. This is a free tool that's available at the URL below. Using this tool, just enter the bets for the roulette system you want to analyze. Just click on the area you want to bet on and enter your wager. And for a full-length video on how to use this tool, check out the link in the description below. And once you've entered all your wagers, you'll see an updated graph at the bottom of the tool. Here's what the graph looks like when I make a single $350 bet on the number 21. The graph is a running sum of all 38 possible results, sorted by the worst outcome first. And this graph shows that we're going to lose $350 37 times, but we're going to hit our number once, winning back $12,250, bringing our net loss to a total of $700. And when we look at this system's graph, we can see that there's a steady decline on most spins with one giant payout at the end. And when all is said and done, you're down $700 after betting $350 38 times, which is a total of $13,300. And if we check our math, we can see that our loss is equal to our expected loss because 700 divided by 13,300 is 5.26%, which is the house edge for double zero roulette. And in the graph, we can compare the explicit loss to the expected loss by comparing the blue line to the dotted line. Now let's look at an extreme example on the other side. Take a look at this system. Here we're betting $10 on the numbers 1 through 35 for a total of $350 wagered per spin. And since the amount wagered is the same as the first system, this also ends with the player being down $700. But this outcome graph is completely different. This one starts out with 3 complete whacks when you hit 0, double zero, and 36. And the other 35 spins each win $10. So you lose $1,050 on the first 3 spins, but recover $350 of it, ending down $700 as expected. And this system is quite the opposite of the first one. Comparing the two graphs side by side, you can see a stark contrast between the two of them. And depending on which system you choose, you're probably going to go through 2 different sets of emotions. System 1 was the long shot system, where you'd experience many small disappointments, but an occasional high when you hit the jackpot. System 2 is the cover the field strategy, where you have many small wins, but fall down the occasional mine shaft. And the 2 outcome graphs for these systems both illustrate this. So let's take a look at a third system. This is just a simple even money bet. We're going to bet $350 on black. And again, we're going to end up down 2 bets, which is a total of $700 as expected. But here, the shape of the graph is more evenly distributed amongst wins and losses. Here, the graph looks more like a V instead of a check mark or reverse check mark. This graph shows we're going to have a good number of both wins and losses, whereas the first 2 systems were very lopsided. And there are a number of differently shaped graphs in between. Check out this sample of outcome graphs for roulette systems reviewed by the CEG Dealer School. So now you know how to generate and interpret these outcome graphs. And these outcome graphs can act as a fingerprint for different roulette systems. If you generate the outcome graphs for 2 different systems and those graphs are identical, then those 2 systems will have the same statistical characteristics. And 2 systems with the same graph can be considered what I call congruent. If you remember back to your middle school geometry years, you probably remember talking about the similarity and congruency of triangles. If 2 triangles are congruent, they can be laid one on top of the other and be a perfect match. Even if you need to flip and rotate one of the triangles, if they can be laid perfectly on each other, then they are congruent. Well, 2 roulette betting patterns can be congruent as well. If they're congruent, they will have the following property. If you sort all the outcomes from worst loss to highest win, they will be an exact match for all 38 possibilities. So let's look at 2 $180 even money betting systems. One is betting $180 on black, the other is betting $180 on even. The black bet will have 20 outcomes where you lose $180 and 18 outcomes where you win $180. And the same is true for the bet on even. And this means that the 2 betting patterns are congruent. And since they are congruent, they'll have the same statistical result over time. And this includes the expected loss and the variance. And when we say variance, we're talking about the fluctuations around the expected loss in the short term. They will expect to lose the same amount of money, but more importantly, their variance will be identical. So you could bet $10 on 18 random numbers and you're going to come up with a congruent betting pattern as those 2 even money systems. And let's check the math real quick. If you miss all 18 numbers, that's easy. You lose all $180, and there's 20 ways to do that. And there are 18 ways to hit one of your numbers, where you get paid 35 to 1, which is $350, but then you lose $170, netting you a gain of $180. But you should also recognize that two systems with the same expected loss may not be congruent. Betting $180 on a number straight up will have the same expected loss as betting $180 on an even money bet, but the straight up bet will have wilder fluctuations around the trend line. And this is why two betting systems with the same expected loss are not necessarily congruent. If you want to determine if two systems are congruent, just lay their outcome graphs on top of each other. If the two graphs are identical, then the two systems are congruent. Also in geometry, we learned how two triangles could be similar. Two triangles are similar if they can be made to be congruent by just adjusting their scale. And just like with congruency, we can talk about the similarity of two roulette betting systems. If two betting patterns are similar, they can be made to be congruent by just scaling the bet sizes. So if you have a system that bets $100 on black, that's similar to a system that bets $50 on black, or $25 on black, or $100 on red, or $50 on even, or even $10 on 18 random numbers straight up. And since these betting patterns will perform exactly the same when you adjust them for scale, we can say that these are all similar systems. And this is really important if we want to talk about the validity of a system. So if we have two similar betting patterns and we can prove that one of them is garbage, we can assume that the other one is garbage too. So how is this relevant in evaluating roulette systems? I did a video on something I called bet nullification, which happens when you bet on 36 or more numbers at a time. And it sounds ridiculous, but people do come up with systems where you bet on 36, 37, and even 38 numbers at a time. And if you have a system that bets on 36 or more numbers at a time, there exists a similar system that can definitely be approved upon. Let's take a look at this system. Here we're betting $20 on 2 dozens, $20 on 2 columns, and $10 on 2 splits. And if you look at our equity per spot, you can see that we're betting $1.67 on all 36 non-zero numbers. But it's not easy to remove that $1.67 of equity because there's no combination of bets that make it simple to take off. And most casinos won't let you bet a fraction of a dollar. So instead, we could just multiply every bet by 36. So now we have a total bet of $3,600 with $720 on the dozens and columns and $360 on the splits. And if you look at the two outcome graphs, they have the same shape, slopes, and number of segments per line. And this means that the two systems are similar. And now when we look at the equity per spot section, we can see that every number has $60, which we can easily remove. And when we remove those $60 from all 36 spots, we've reduced our overall bet by $2,160, which we save every time we hit 0 or double zero. And even after removing all this money, we still have identical payouts for the numbers 1 through 36. So here we have two similar systems, and we've proven that one of those systems is garbage because from that system, there exists a better system where you can win the same amounts of money on 1 through 36, but save money on 0 and double zero. So we can conclude that the original system is also garbage. So now you know how to generate outcome graphs, and you know how to interpret how they describe a roulette system, and you know how to identify both congruent and similar betting systems, and you know how to use similar patterns to eliminate garbage systems. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, remember to like and subscribe. Always gamble responsibly, and peace out, donkeys.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.